Hi, before I start, I would just like to point out that this was filmed over several different days, and so, yeah, don't expect a ton of continuity, editing-wise and whatnot, so... Yeah, at some points, there are probably going to be kind of weird switches and weird, angle changes and thing with lighting, and... I apologize right now that one of my light bulbs in here has gone out. Yeah, and you'll probably notice that later in the video as well, and again, I apologize for all that. So, yeah. So, yeah, again, sorry about all the weirdness of this video. Hope you enjoy it, and yeah. Oh, and since I filmed this, I happened to see Fright Night, which I didn't mention here, but I just want to point out that it is actually a really fun movie, and, if you get the chance, check it out, because it's a lot of fun, and, yeah, so, there you go. Enjoy! Well, we are past the halfway point of 2011. Way past it. So I thought this would be kind of a good time to see how the film industry is shaping up so far this year. I would like to point out that for one reason or another, I did miss out on a number of notable movies this year. Movies like Bridesmaids, Green Lantern, etc. So if I don't mention a certain movie, there's a good chance that I just didn't see it. So, of the films that I did see, how would I describe the movie year as a whole in one vague visual gesture? I mean, I don't know about you, but the stuff I've seen so far this year has been kinda meh. The summer especially. I mean, really not much has stood out as either terrible or terrific. It's all just kind of meh. Here's kind of like a quick recap of my reactions to this year's summer movies. So, James, what did you think? Alright. Meh. Good. Meh. Oh my god! Alright. Now, I know some of you were thinking, oh, every summer's like this. Hollywood churning out half-baked, big-budget movies that they know audiences will eat up no matter how good or bad it is. And, yeah, that is the case at times. Maybe it's just me, but it's very noticeable this year. I mean, yeah, last year we had to sit through crap like Jonah Hex, The Last Airbender, Grown Ups. But need we forget that summer 2010 also gave us Inception and Toy Story 3. Arguably, two of the year's best movies. I mean, if that weren't enough, we also got, Scott Pilgrim, Iron Man 2, Get Him to the Greek, The A-Team, all of which I thought were really well done. This year, on the other hand, it's just been like one big bowl of indifference. It's like everyone in the film business kind of just threw up their arms and said, well, we don't want to piss people off, but we also don't want to try too hard, so, let's just settle for mediocre. And in a way, I think I dislike that most of all. I mean, it takes all the fun out of reviewing movies. One of my favorite things about reviewing movies is that I get to tell people how epically amazing a movie is, or how stunningly god-awful it is. I don't want to have to keep telling people it was okay. I'd like something that I could either praise to the skies, or I could mock endlessly. Anyway, I've been ranting too long, so here's what I consider to be the 5 best and 5 worst movies of the year so far. Again, let me point out that if I don't mention a certain movie, it's probably because I haven't seen it, or I don't think it's good or bad enough to be included. Okay, so let's start off with the 5 best movies of the year so far. Number 5, Source Code. Now, I have to admit, if there is one thing Hollywood has done really, really well this year, it's sci-fi. Along with my choices for the 5th, 4th, and 3rd best movies of the year so far, we've had some really impressive works like Super 8, Limitless, Captain America, if you want to count that. Yeah, it counts. So yeah, everything else sucks, but sci-fi has apparently been kicking some major ass. Anyway, source code. For those of you who don't know, this is the movie where Jake Gyllenhaal is put into another man's body for like 8 minutes at a time so he can figure out who might have bombed a train. Now, this one genuinely surprised me. I mean, right off the bat, the premise just sounds dull. Oh, we have to watch the same 8 minutes over and over and over. Yay. What about Groundhog Day? I mean, that was basically the same day over and over, and that was pretty good. Yeah, that's a day. This is 8 minutes. Over and over and over and over and over. The movie is not nearly as repetitive as it sounds. On the contrary, it's incredibly smart, completely engaging, and it's actually kind of heartwarming. For one thing, Jake Gyllenhaal has some great chemistry with Michelle Monaghan. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Who plays a passenger on the train. And there's another scene towards the end that actually managed to get me a little teary-eyed. You know, I think what I like most about this movie is just how clever it is. I mean, there's kind of like a big reveal about halfway through, explaining, you know, how Jake Gyllenhaal's character got into the situation that he's in. And it's actually really well thought out. I like it when movies think. So now we move from a surprisingly good sci-fi to another surprisingly good sci-fi. My number 4 pick. Rise of the Planet of the Apes. The movie. How many movies can you name that actually make you sympathize with an ape? Oh, yeah, that one's pretty obvious, but, you know, it's still a hard thing to pull off, and this one does. This one really does. Credit, first and foremost, must be given to Andy Serkis, who is, like, the go-to guy for motion capture. For those of you who don't know, this is the guy who just blew our minds as Gollum, 9 years ago? Here playing Caesar, who is basically the leader of the apes. He's the best thing in this movie. But, obviously, I can't mention Andy Serkis without mentioning the CGI work, which is just outstanding. I mean, if this movie fails to get an Oscar nomination next year for visual effects, I will protest to the Academy. And finally, the script, which, to my complete and utter disbelief, actually focuses on plot and character. You know, I just can't believe that some people actually have the nerve to develop complex characters and a thoughtful story when they should be blowing all their money on mindless action sequences. And again, this movie manages to be really clever. There's one plot point that doesn't have a huge impact on the overall movie. It's like one of those things where my basic reaction was kind of along the lines of, what does that have to do with anything? What was the point of... Oh, I see what you did there. Number 3, The Adjustment Bureau. Now, I've already talked about this movie in another video on my own channel, so I'm just going to quickly reiterate what I said there. It's very entertaining, superbly acted. I mean, Matt Damon and Emily Blunt are just fantastic together. And despite what the trailers might tell you, the movie is actually really lighthearted. Basically, the trailers tell you that, oh, it's a sci-fi with elements of romance mixed in, when really it's a romance with elements of sci-fi mixed in. It's like the perfect date movie. It's got something for everybody, but I also think people will be able to enjoy all aspects of it, whether they prefer romance or sci-fi. Number 2, Hannah. The guy that brought you Atonement and Pride and Prejudice with Keira Knightley directs this movie about a 13-year-old girl training to be an assassin. Yeah. Interesting choice. Yeah, you know, usually directors kind of gradually shift genres, you know. romantic epic, light romantic comedy, comedy, action, action. Here it's just kind of like romantic epic, action! And the weird thing is, he does it really, really well. I mean, for a guy who's never done an action movie in his life, he comes off like a pro here. In fact, one of my favorite scenes in any movie this year happens to be in this movie, which is the scene where Eric Bana, Bono goes into a subway station and gets into this fight with these four guys. And the entire fight is filmed in exactly one tracking shot. It's pretty epic. And on top of that, the writing is impressive, the cinematography is gorgeous, the music is great, and the acting is just top-notch. I don't think it's going to happen, but, you know, I would love to see the young girl get another Oscar nomination for her performance here. I say young girl because I still have no idea how to pronounce her name. Cersei? I don't like names I can't pronounce. And now we come to the best movie of the year so far. And I know a lot of you are gonna groan, but Harry Potter. Deathly Hallows Part 2 is the most satisfying movie I have seen so far this year. It's the best movie in the series. It's one of the few movies that has a good shot of ending up in my year-end top 10 list. And all around, it's just a wonderful movie. It's thrilling, it's terrifying, it's heartbreaking, it's funny. I mean, if a movie actually manages to cover a wide emotional range like that, then yeah, there's definitely something special about that movie. So yeah, if you haven't seen one or more of these 5 movies, Source Code, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, The Adjustment Bureau, Hannah, or Deathly Hallows Part 2, check them out because they are worth every penny.